The NFL just admitted something a lot of people have already suspected. Joe Burrow was right about the advantage the Ravens have by always playing in the best time slots. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a problem that's been repeating year after year. The truth behind this streak goes deeper than it seems and could change everything in the Bengals-Ravens rivalry. Stick with me until the end because you'll find out what the league really thinks and what this could mean for the future of the Baltimore Ravens. Go Ravens! Joe Burrow decided to speak out publicly about something that, from Baltimore's perspective, has been a well-earned advantage, facing the Bengals in prime time at M&T Bank Stadium for 4th straight year. The Cincinnati quarterback caught the NFL's attention by saying that playing again in Baltimore on a nationally spotlighted night isn't ideal. In a tone of frustration, he asked for a game like that to be scheduled in Cincinnati in the future. His statement made it clear that the pressure off the field is building even before kickoff. From a Ravens point of view, this streak isn't a coincidence. It's the result of performance. Baltimore has been a major player in big games, with a competitive team, passionate fans, and a home atmosphere that works really well in high-stakes games. The NFL's scheduling choices reflect this status. If the Bengals want to change this, they first need to prove on the field they can win in this kind of setting, something that hasn't happened in the past 3 seasons. Burrow's public dissatisfaction reveals more than just a complaint about logistics. It reflects how the Ravens have dominated this spotlighted matchup, especially on Thursday night games where preparation time is shorter and pressure is higher. The frustration with the repeated home advantage in Baltimore shows that the edge the Ravens have built is beginning to weigh emotionally on the rival, even before the ball is snapped. The NFL couldn't ignore the opposing quarterback's outburst and officially responded, admitting the comment was fair. But even with that recognition, the decision to keep the game in Baltimore was upheld, only increasing Cincinnati's irritation and reinforcing the confidence that the Ravens continue to set the tone in this rivalry. What bothers Cincinnati the most is how consistently the NFL chooses Baltimore as the main stage for this matchup. This will be the 4th consecutive season that the Ravens and Bengals face off in prime time with Baltimore as the host, and the 3rd straight time on a Thursday night. In contrast, all the games played in Cincinnati over recent years have been pushed to the standard 1 p.m. slot, far from the league's maximum exposure. This uneven treatment became unbearable for the Bengals, who have now turned to the media in an attempt to change this reality. For the Ravens, however, this repetition has a simple explanation: on-field delivery. In recent years, Baltimore hasn't just won these matchups. They've also delivered memorable games that justify the NFL's choices. The team has shown consistency, impact, and prime-time presence, attributes that weigh heavily when the league sets its broadcast schedule. If Baltimore keeps hosting, it's because their performance supports this privilege. The rival's frustration at its core is another sign that the Ravens have established themselves as a team that demands respect in every aspect, including league planning. Playing prime time in Baltimore has become synonymous with big games, a hostile environment, and total pressure. This is exactly the scenario that seems to rattle the Bengals, who haven't managed to respond adequately in any of these recent occasions. Cincinnati's discomfort exposes more than dissatisfaction with the schedule. It reveals the weight of dominance built on the field and acknowledged even behind the NFL scenes. This perception became even clearer when the league itself chose to speak on the matter, admitting the criticism was valid but without changing its decision. The NFL's official response came through Mike North, the league's vice president of broadcast planning and scheduling. In an interview with Bengals.com, he called Joe Burrow's complaint fair and acknowledged that when a pattern repeats for 3 or 4 consecutive years, adjustments need to be made. Although diplomatic, this statement was enough to confirm the league is paying attention and that the repeated home games in Baltimore might indeed be going too far. However, North also downplayed the chances of an immediate change. He said that when assembling the 2024 schedule, the choice to hold the game in Baltimore was considered the best overall option despite Cincinnati's discomfort. North pointed out that all 32 franchises end up somewhat disappointed with something in the schedule, a way to suggest the Bengals are not an exception, but part of a process that tries to balance competitiveness, viewership, and logistics. For the Ravens, the NFL's recognition is not a threat, but a reaffirmation of what the team represents today for the league, a reliable franchise for high-impact games. The NFL acknowledged Baltimore has a solid primetime environment that generates exciting games and strong audience responses. If the schedule favors the Ravens, it's because they deliver on the field, and that merit cannot be ignored. Even with the promise to keep an eye on the issue in the future, the league kept the decision for this season. This choice only reinforces what was already clear. Baltimore is today a showcase of the best the NFL has to offer in decisive games.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
What Cincinnati sees as unfairness, Baltimore interprets as consistency. The recent tradition of playing at home in the most watched matchups of the season has become part of the Ravens' identity, and a thorn in the Bengals' side. For Joe Burrow's team, the short turnaround between games and having to travel to Baltimore again, right on Thanksgiving, represent a disadvantage that keeps repeating. But from Baltimore's perspective, the situation is clear. Playing at home and winning under pressure has become a pattern. The streak of night games in Baltimore is a direct result of how the team performs on the big stage. The NFL knows that M&T Bank Stadium provides an intense atmosphere with a passionate crowd and a team that thrives on that energy. It's no coincidence that all recent games between these teams, played under primetime lights in Baltimore, have ended with Ravens victories. What's an uncomfortable tradition for the Bengals is actually a virtuous cycle for the Ravens. The NFL acknowledges the need to avoid overly repetitive patterns, but has also made clear that it's not always possible to satisfy all requests. Meanwhile, Baltimore keeps capitalizing on these decisions, turning each home game into a true national spectacle. Cincinnati's dissatisfaction might make headlines, but it's the Ravens who keep building results and narrative in this scenario. Cincinnati wants to turn the tide, but they'll have to do it on enemy territory, in front of a fired-up crowd and a team used to pressure. The symbolic weight of this game is even greater because it's not just another Thursday night. It's a Thanksgiving game, marking a special chapter in the history of both franchises. The Ravens versus Bengals matchup on Thanksgiving marks the first time in more than 10 years that both teams play on this traditional U.S. holiday. For the NFL, it's a rare opportunity to showcase two star-studded rosters, led by top-tier quarterbacks and explosive offenses. But for the Ravens, the meaning goes beyond that. It's a chance to defend their turf on a national stage, on a symbolic date, and reaffirm their superiority over their direct rival. Mike North made it clear that Baltimore earned this spot. The league justified the choice by saying the Ravens have played spectacular games, with offensive highlights, stars on the field, and clutch performances. This makes the team ideal to represent the NFL in one of the season's most important time slots. The fact that the game takes place again at M&T Bank Stadium is seen as a consequence of this recent track record of prominence. Meanwhile, the Bengals will have to deal with the discomfort of ruining other people's holiday, as the NFL official ironically put it. The pressure on Joe Burrow will be immense, not only because of his public statements, but also due to the recent history, where the team failed every time they face the Ravens in this kind of setting. The rivalry gains new dimensions with this special date and promises an even more intense game. Baltimore knows the way of a game like this. Playing on Thanksgiving at home, in front of millions of viewers, is a privilege few teams earn, and the Ravens are exactly where they belong. Now, it's time to turn this opportunity into another victory, because while the Bengals complain, Baltimore keeps answering where it really counts, on the field. The NFL has acknowledged that Joe Burrow's complaint about the schedule against the Baltimore Ravens is fair, but there are still no guarantees of change. Meanwhile, the Ravens continue to dominate primetime games, imposing their strength and building their legacy. This advantage could be decisive for the season, and it's clear the league will have to face this reality. As a Baltimore Ravens supporter, it's crucial to follow every step of this dispute. What do you think? Will the NFL finally adjust the schedule, or will the Ravens keep controlling the main stage? Share your opinion in the comments and stay tuned for updates.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.